The following program is produced at and funded by Lyndon State College, the College of the Northeast Kingdom.
Coming up tonight on a special edition of News 7.
It's Election Day. We've got coverage from both party headquarters with coverage on all statewide and local races.
Republican Scott Milne is looking to upset incumbent Peter Shumlin in the governor's race.
Polls opened early this morning, but some towns saw a low turnout.
Gotta vote. Doesn't matter who you vote for, you got to vote.
Live from the Vermont Center for Community Journalism, this is News 7 at 5:30.
Good evening and welcome to tonight's election edition of News 7. It's election day across the country, and here in Vermont and around the Northeast Kingdom, there are several key races being decided.
We have team coverage from Burlington to right back here in our corner of the state. We start tonight over in the state capitol, where state Democrats and Republicans are preparing to gather and watch returns. News 7's Taylor Young joins us live now with a look at what Governor Peter Shumlin has been up to as he looks for a third term. Taylor?
Thanks, Camille. That's right. I am standing here inside the Hilton Hotel, where members of the Democratic Party will wait for tonight's results. Now, no one from the party is here right now, but this is where they do expect their chief executive officer to arrive at 8 p.m. Governor Peter Shumlin is running for a third consecutive term. The 58-year-old from Putney has served as Vermont governor for the past 4 years and is looking to be re-elected for another 2. Shumlin says if elected, he plans on creating more jobs, raising household income, and controlling health care costs. A recent campaign finance report indicates that Shumlin has received just under $1 million worth of contributions and has spent just under $900,000. Shumlin has said his relief efforts following Tropical Storm Irene are amongst his most notable accomplishments. Now, Shumlin is feeling confident about this year's race against Republican opponent Scott Milne. Reporting live in Burlington, I'm Taylor Young. Back to you guys.
The Republican challenger for governor is Scott Milne. While Shumlin spent roughly $890,000 on his campaign, Milne spent just about a fourth of that, with his expenditures totaling just over $238,000. If elected, Milne intends to revitalize the economy on the foundation of an educated community and well-trained workforce. The full list for governor totals 7 candidates: Dan Feliciano of the Libertarian Party, Republican Scott Milne, and incumbent Democrat Peter Shumlin. Independent candidate Peter Diamondstone and independents Chris Erickson, who is also running for Congress, Bernard Peters, and Emily Payton.
Running for the U.S. House of Representatives for Vermont's congressional district is incumbent Democrat Peter Welch, who is seeking a 5th term. So now let's turn things over to News 7's Nick Oresco, who is also live in Burlington, where the state's Democrats are gathering.
Thanks, Cortland. That's right. Peter Shumlin has served since 2007, and Congressman Peter Welch looks to stay in office once again. Welch is running for re-election for a 5th term and is hoping to have as much success this year as he did back in 2012, where he defeated his opponents by 72% of the vote. Now, Welch ran unopposed in the Democratic Party. Some of Welch's biggest issues on the table include extending subsidized federal student loan rates until 2015. He also sponsors no federal enforcement against legal state marijuana. During his campaign, he has raised just over $1.1 million. Of that amount, just over $16,000 has been spent. Now, Welch is expected to arrive here at the hotel later, as many other candidates are, to await the votes. Live in Burlington, I am Nick Oresco. Guys, I'll send it on back to you.
Thank you, Nick. And for the full ballot for the congressional seat consists of 6 candidates. Matthew Andrews of the Liberty Union Party hopes to give a voice to the voiceless. Republican Mark Donka wants to decrease fuel costs and improve unemployment rates. Independent Chris Erickson has run for governor 4 times and is now taking a shot at the U.S. representative position. Independent Randall Meyer, as well as energy independent candidate Jerry Trudell, are also running against Welch.
The state's Republicans are also gathering in Burlington tonight. The man who holds the top Republican post in the state is Lieutenant Governor Phil Scott, and he is searching for his 3rd term in office. There are 3 candidates total on that ticket. Dean Corrin is representing the Progressive Party and supports Vermont Health Connect. Marina Brown is in the running as well, representing the Liberty Union Party. Both Corrin and Brown are looking to defeat Scott. Those Republicans and their supporters are starting to gather in Burlington at the Sheraton Hotel to watch the 2014 election results come in. That is where we find News 7's Cassandra Bernier, who has more now on Scott's bid for re-election and what he hopes to accomplish if he successfully is granted another term in office. Cassandra?
Thanks, guys. That's right. I'm here in Burlington for the Republicans' first time not being in Montpelier on election night. Lieutenant Governor Phil Scott, along with other Republicans, will be here at the Sheraton awaiting election results. The Lieutenant Governor was first elected in 2010 after serving 9 years on the Vermont State Senate. He is looking for his second re-election tonight. Scott is running against Libertarian Union candidate Marina Brown and Dean Corrin for the Vermont Progressive Party. And yesterday, Phil Scott spent the day traveling around Vermont, visiting all 14 counties. This was part of his 14-county Get Out the Vote tour. Scott believes that the legislature's top priority needs to be growing Vermont's economy and making families more secure. In the past 3 years, 8,500 people have dropped out of Vermont's workforce. The Lieutenant Governor says that the work needs to be done to contain rising healthcare costs and property taxes. Scott believes that the bills that go through legislature need to be viewed as ways that will help or hurt Vermont's economy. And the candidates are expected to come back here between 7 and 8 o'clock tonight at the Sheraton. Reporting live from Burlington, I'm Cassandra Bernier. Back to you guys in the studio.
State Treasurer is another statewide race being decided today. Democrat Beth Pierce is looking to be re-elected. Murray Gama of the Liberty Union Party is on the ballot, along with progressive candidate Don Schramm.
There are 3 candidates running for Secretary of State for the state of Vermont. Incumbent Jim Condos represents the Democratic Party and has been serving as Secretary of State since 2011. Ben Eastwood from the Progressive Party is running in opposition of Condos. The third and final candidate is Mary Alice Herbert from the Liberty Union Party.
Doug Hoffer is running unopposed for his position as State Auditor for the state of Vermont. This will be Doug Hoffer's second consecutive term in office. Hoffer has been focused on keeping his promises such as more transparency and more accountability. He is also focusing on using the results of his office's audits to better use taxpayers' money. And Attorney General Bill Sorrell is looking to be re-elected once again. The Burlington native is spending the night at the Democratic headquarters where he hopes to celebrate a victory. Sorrell faces Liberty Union Party candidate Rosemary Jakowski and Republican Shane McCormick.
It's the voters that really have all the say today, and around the Northeast Kingdom, residents came out to have their voices heard. We start in St. Johnsbury, where voting got underway this morning, and News 7's Dylan Robichaud was there.
Thank you for voting.
One by one, voters turned out to get their voices heard. In St. Johnsbury, voting got underway at the Father Lively Center starting at 10 a.m.
I almost didn't vote because I've been so discouraged at the national level with both parties, but I figured not voting is a vote.
Gun control issue has certainly brought out a lot of people, and the local issues on school compensation through UVM.
It wasn't just the voters that were out today. Candidates used the final hours to push for votes.
Well, I believe that we really need to have a common sense and reasoned approach in Montpelier. A lot of the problems that we have now is a lack of balance, and I will be able to bring a different perspective, so that way it's not going to be just a continued tax and spend policy that really Vermont can't afford anymore.
It's hard to imagine things getting much worse than they were, with the rate of the cost of healthcare going up just incrementally every year, exponentially, I should say, every year. I mean, my family was uninsured for 3 years, so I know what the kind of choices that people have to make.
Fay and Will Hoyt are facing Bob South and Scott Beck for the state rep for St. Johnsbury.
Right on there?
Yeah, maybe you can see I voted. I got a right to complain.
For some, just being part of the process is enough to get them to cast their ballots, and seeing their community come out to vote makes a difference.
And I was very pleased when I came into the parking lot and I saw how many cars were there, and that it looks like there's a lot of people coming out to vote, and I'm happy for that.
Once all the ballots are casted, the counting begins. Reporting for the Vermont Center for Community Journalism, I'm Dylan Robichaud in St. Johnsbury.
In Linden, voting opened at 8 a.m. and a steady stream of residents poured through the municipal building. News 7's Rob Krupe has more on what voters had to say.
It's your civic duty. I've been doing this since I was 18.
Each election season, many local voters pay a visit to the voting booths. And this morning in Lindenville, voting for election 2014 got off to a busy start at 8 a.m.
See, I'm so used to voting every year that it's just part of, when they say it's time to vote, I vote. And I think a lot of people don't do that, younger ones.
Some shared that opinion, saying that it's important for the younger generation to have their voices heard.
Definitely. We do not have enough of the younger generation getting into their civic duties, and they should, because as the saying goes, don't be E if you don't vote.
But what really controls everything is probably more money. Money controls it. But you have the fantasy come here and say, my vote counts.
No matter what the outcome may be, your vote cannot count until you cast your ballot. Reporting for the Vermont Center for Community Journalism, Rob Krupe in Lyndonville.
Polls in most towns, including Linden and St. Johnsbury, are open tonight until 7 p.m. And now Jacqueline Laviolette joins us with our first look at our forecast. Jacqueline, for those voters who have yet to cast a vote on their ballot, what kind of weather can they expect as they make their way to the polls?
Well, Cortland, luckily the rain showers are going to hold off until later on this evening, so they should be in store for some drier conditions here as you end these ballots. And luckily it is staying relatively on the warm side too. Temperature really isn't going to drop a whole lot from now till the end of voting time. Right now, current temperatures across the region, up in the Northeast Kingdom, we're sitting in the mid-40s, and that's about normal for this time of year. Some warmer weather off to our west, and we have had a little bit of a warm up here between yesterday and into today compared to all the cold temperatures that we saw this weekend when we were below normal. You can see some of the clouds as they built in across the afternoon. These clouds are going to stay with us here in the overnight hours as some of these rain showers off to our west start to work their way eastward, and that's what we're going to be in store for here as you head through the overnight hours. But luckily, most of the voters should stay dry. For tonight, though, those overnight showers are going to continue and will be low only in 40 to 45 degrees tonight, so relatively warm out there. For tomorrow, too, definitely the pick of the week. Highs in the mid-50s and mostly cloudy skies, chance of the sun in the afternoon. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Jacqueline. And after the break, we'll be breaking down some of the local races.
With 2 open seats for state senator, one business owner plans to make a splash by making Vermont use local resources.
And with a handful of unopposed candidates up for re-election, most of them already know their role.